every step. Take notes on how I crept. I was about to go in depth. This is the way I greet my season. Here's my ghetto rep. I kept, to say the least, no, it can't cease. So I began to piece my 2 and 2 together. Got no snowy weather. Have to find something to do better. Bet I said some time, so shut up that nonsense about some solid. I got sick crock if it ain't real, ain't right. I'm like, no matter what the season.
OutKast with a capital K in the middle were a southern hip-hop duo from Atlanta, Georgia. They were active from 1992 to 2006 and again in 2014. They were, their stage names, Andre 3000 and Big Boy, spelt B-O-I. They produced 6 studio albums and were one of the most successful hip-hop groups of all time. They're best known, certainly in the UK, for their chart hit, Hey Ya. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is an album of hip-hop in which the dominant vocals are rap. So this was the first album by OutKast, and from my reading I have gathered that it is a hugely important album in the history of hip-hop because it was pivotal in establishing the idea that there could be a southern hip-hop scene, as well as the West Coast and the East Coast scenes, which were dominant at that time. So East Coast was New York, West Coast was California. There's a little bit of history for me for OutKasts, just out of interest, which is that just over 2 years ago, I started doing reviews in a blog. I've only been doing these video reviews for a few months now. And the very first album that I reviewed on that list was an OutKast album, not this one. And I've been back and I've read it, and basically I'm saying I really don't know very much about rap. And it's still true that my knowledge and understanding of the hip-hop world and the rap world is still woeful in some ways, given that I'm reviewing this thing, but I have listened to a few rap albums since then, so I am getting more educated and I'm slowly getting that. Okay. Musically, so why am I referring back to another review? But I've had the same response to this musically as I did to the other OutKast album. They have a predominance of real musicians, which I instantly respect over the use of samples and electronic drum machines. There are electronic drum machines in here, and there is the sound of the classic 808 machine going on at times in here. But there's real keys, bass, guitars, all sorts of things in here, and it definitely shows some kind of musical knowledge, or it has a musicality to it. The music that's behind the mostly rapping is generally kind of soul and slow funk kind of areas. In the stuff that I was reading, it referenced Bootsy Collins, and I can hear that. I have some awareness of Bootsy Collins. I'm much more confident in the area of funk as it happens. So there's some nice grooves. There is a track called Funky Ride, which has a nice long guitar solo in it, which is unusual for a hip-hop album. So that's nice. Right, onto the lyrics. And the rapping, there are 2 dominant rappers, which are the 2 guys who are the duo, OutKast. There are a few guests, but this is their first album release, so it's not absolutely jam-packed with guests like some rap albums are. There's some singing, and CeeLo Green appears. He seems to appear everywhere, certainly in hip-hop. The rapping style, I'm still not confident talking about the flow of rappers, but it seems quite kind of fast and staccato some of the time. Making out the lyrics, I can make out some of them. There's quite a lot of southern slang being used apparently, and sometimes when I can pick up the lyrics, there's some turns of phrase that kind of, that might be part of this southern slang stuff. But there are things that I obviously don't understand as a result of that. But I am catching the gist of a reasonable amount of the lyrics. It has as is fairly typical for hip-hop albums. In between several of the tracks, there are little interludes, little vignettes, kind of them pretending to do something, they're like little drama sketches. And how do I feel about that? They're okay. So there's a big thing that I want to say, and I'm probably going to say this several times now for rap albums, because I have a thing about the messages that are given through any form of public speech, and music is one of those. And I have an issue with the fact that so much rap seems to perpetuate some really bad messages. So, first of all, it seems that most rappers perpetuate this idea that basically the way to be and the attitude is to be foul-mouthed, self-aggrandizing, aggressive, and misogynistic. And that the occupations for black men in America are predominantly drug dealing, pimping, and gang violence. That success equals having lots of drugs, lots of money, and lots of exploitative sex relationships. No romanticism or sensitivity involved at all. And I know that certainly in terms of the job prospects, that there are some places in America that are like that. But I worry quite a bit about the message that this is giving. And when predominantly a genre of music which is listened to by all sorts of people, I first think about, what kind of role model is this giving to youth? Where are the messages about stay in school, don't do drugs? I mean, these are kind of classic things that you might be saying, but where are the messages that are going to help people get out of these situations rather than just perpetuating it? And then normalizing. I think that some of the attitudes that are being normalized in these albums are really, really. If I said any of these things publicly, I would be lambasted totally. But it seems to be so much the norm in this world of rap. And what kind of image does this give to the world? If rap music is predominantly, or certainly American male black rap music, I know there is other rap music around, but that seems to be the dominant force in rap music. And what are they saying about what black people are like? And my knowledge of black people that I've met is that they're people and they have kind of ordinary lives and ordinary things going on in their lives. But the image that has been perpetuated through this music is that these are people that they're aggressive, they're unpleasant, they're you know what I'm saying. And I don't think they're doing themselves any favours in terms of trying to turn back the tide of racism in America when they're perpetuating images like this. One thing that they do seem to have in common is that there is a kind of figure in this narrative of rap, of the archetypal figure of the one person in their lives who seems to have some semblance of wisdom, and that's their mothers. Why aren't they listening to their mothers? But all their mothers are saints and are giving them universal wisdom, which is a good thing. So this is great. I've got that off my chest. All right, now let's refer to that in terms of this album. How does this album relate to these messages? And I have to say it's a mixture. So there's a balance. There is quite an amount of some of these messages in these songs. One phrase that stuck out to me at one point was, if I see you, you're going to be leaking like a fountain, which basically means I'm going to shoot you full of holes. But there are other bits that are better, because there is some of it that I would say is social commentary and looking at the plight of people in situations that they know and That's understandable. And there is one track which is Get Up, Get Out, Get Something, which is all about stop sitting around, doing drugs, get out and actually achieve something. And that is a message that I can get behind. So between the music and enjoying some of the grooves and not liking some of the messages, but thinking some of the messages are all right, on balance, it could be worse. So I'm going to give it a 6. What do you think? And if you've got anything to say about my little rant that I've had, I'd love to hear it as well. Anything you want to say about the album, anything you want to say about hip-hop in general, I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments down below. That's it from me for now.